Lon Humphrey with Lon Humphrey Knives. I am going to be doing a series of videos on how I make knives. More in depth than just kind of a walkthrough video that I do and put up on Facebook, and everybody likes those. And I think those are okay for, Facebook kind of things. But I want to delve a little deeper into how I do things around here. Maybe some secrets. I want to talk about my grinder. I'm not being paid by KMG to talk about their machine. It's a great machine. It is my pick out of all the ones that are out there. Not trying to detract from anybody's favorite thing, because we all know we've got favorite things. But this is my machine, and I have modified it to fit my process. We'll start with the motor. This is a 3-phase, 5 horsepower, high torque motor. That is an industrial phase converter variable speed drive. So what it does, it takes 220 volt single phase, does electronic magic on the inside of that, turns it to 3-phase, and it plays with the sine wave. So right there you can see it's 30. That means it's running at 30 cycles, and we run it at that. So that's half speed, because 100% is 60 cycles, and you can step it all the way down to, as slow as you want to go. I've set this up for direct drive because it runs so much smoother than having a belt. And from there, it's just regular KMG. Let's talk about the grinding platen itself. This is a solid piece of carbide. The carbide is very wear resistant. I grind with a lot of pressure. I mean, stupid pressure, so I can get them all ground really fast. That's my work rest. Okay, as you can see, that's a great big long piece of channel, and then I've welded a piece of tool steel to the top of it, and I will put this on the mill and fly cut it every once in a while, because this will wear, and that throws my angle off. We'll get to that in a minute. This has been bolted on the back. I take the carbide's got steel plugs in there, and then I bolted it right to that big piece of angle iron, and that big piece of angle iron has been flattened perfectly flat, so this mates up and there isn't any wobble, and when I bolt it up, it doesn't crack. So I mean, there's a lot to that. This is my angle adjustment for the platen. As you can see, that platen is not sitting at 90 degrees. Okay, so if I want to do a clip with a sharper angle, or like a Scandi type grind, I'll move this so it's a sharper angle, and it'll grind a Scandi flat, full flat, whatever angle it needs to be. Now the other part of this is the jig. And all that does is hold that knife perpendicular to the work rest. That's all it does. Solid, big, heavy thing. And for those guys that are, oh, well, a master smith would never use that to grind. You know what's really funny about that? A master smith built that and sold it to me. Okay, so the guy that built this for me, the master smith from Pennsylvania, his name is Greg Gottschalk. I'm sure you can find him if you search online for Master Smith, Pennsylvania. I think he's still going. But that's all that does is hold that knife perpendicular to the rest, and then it's pretty much just run it back and forth and grind. Now, let's make it something clear. I don't use this for customs. I don't set this whole thing up to grind one knife or two knives or even three knives. This is for grinding a batch. And when I mean batch, we're talking at least 100 knives. My batches are bigger than 100. You know, I'm doing 200 of these things at a crack. I'm very fortunate that I get to make that many knives at once. But that's my machine. You know, there's, like I said, this is not to detract from any other machine out there. You guys got your favorites, and they do all kind of stuff, and they tilt and they tip and they swing around, and that's cool. But for me, this is something that I've come up with, trial and error, stuff that I've seen, stuff that I've adopted. So yeah, it is what it is. So the other thing that I've done to this machine is I put on a real long lever so I can change these belts. Originally, this had a little handle here, and you had about that much mechanical advantage on it. And you can see I broke that 3/8 bolt off by pulling on it. But this, I don't know, it's 18 inches long, you know. And I think Bader has this on theirs. I think so. I took that idea from a Bader grinder and put it on this. My toggle screw, this thing was getting all bound up, wouldn't work. It doesn't want to spin right. I mean, you know, imagine grabbing a hold of that little wheel 200-300 times a day and cranking it back and forth because you're tracking your belt over the edge to do your plunges. Yeah, that's not fun. So I made it into a big thumb screw. I mean, just little things like that I've done to do the machine, make it better for my process. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people, they get into making knives, they see this guy doing it. This is how it's got to be done. No. It doesn't work like that. You've got to develop your process for you and your knives and your style. Yeah, my mustache is all kind of jacked up. Weird.